Howdy, everybody. Welcome to the Liberty Call. Today is Friday, May 16th, 2025. Hope you're having a fantastical day out there in the interwebs. As you can see, I have a different camera. I'm super clear, which I'm testing it out to see how it works. So it looks pretty good. I'm a little more pink than I normally look. So I've been adjusting the I'll see how it looks on the broadcast on the recording side. I'm seeing it on the whatever this is called. Anyways, you didn't come here to hear about that. You came here to, well, the few 4 or 5 people who actually watch and listen to my stuff. You came here to find out what happened in the markets today, right? Right. Exactly. Well, markets closed out the week strong with gains across the board, powered by the U.S.-China trade truce. With bullish corporate news, Charter Communications surged to on a $34.5 billion telecom deal, while Coinbase rallied nearly 9%. In a fintech rebound, Applied Materials slipped on a weak outlook, and consumer sentiment dipped as inflation expectations crept higher. All eyes now turn to next week's retail earnings and economic data. So before we break down all the news, I need some help from you. Yes, you. Give some thumbs up, like, share, subscribe, follow, and press that darn notification so that you know when I go live. Because again, I say smart things twice a week. Solid. Yeah. So you got to tune in all 5 days just to see the 2 smart things that I talk about. So, all right. Well, let's get to the markets. Dow Jones for today finished up 0.78%, 331 points, closed at 42,654. S&P 500 was up 0.69%, 40 points, closed at 59.57. NASDAQ up 0.52%, 98 points, closed at 19,211. The VIX was down 3.31% today. It's at 17.24. Canada up 0.29, Brazil down 0.24, and Mexico flat at 0. Headed over to Europe. Friends over in Germany were up 0.23%, the UK up 0.59, France up 0.42, Netherlands up 0.2, Spain up 0.96, Italy up 0.59, Switzerland up 0.66, and Portugal up 0.61. Let's see where the Russian exchanges. They were split today. The MOEX was up 0.16. RTSI was down 0.41. And the overnight markets, the Nikkei in Japan was flat at 0. Australia up 0.56. New Zealand down 0.82%. In China, lots of red. Shanghai down 0.4. Shenzhen Component down 0.07. China A50 down 0.87. DJ Shanghai down 0.31. Hang Seng down 0.46, and the Taiwan weighted down 0.24. All red across the Chinese markets. Not the end of the world, but is what it is. All righty, well, let's hop into all the economic data that came out this week. Starting out with jobs, the initial claims came in at 229, right on forecast. Previous number was also 229. Let's see. Continuing claims came in at 1.881 million. Forecast was 1.89, so slightly below the forecast. Previous number was 1.872, so it did creep up a little bit. The U.S. federal budget balance came in at 258 billion. Forecast was 256. Previous was a contraction of 161. The consumer price index came out this week. Year over year, it grew by 2.3% under the 2.4% forecast. Last month's number was 2.4. The consumer price index month over month only grew at 0.2%. Forecast was 0.3. Previous was a contraction of a tenth. And next up, the national something small business optimism index came in at 95.8. Forecast was 94.9. Previous number was 97.4. It's the National Federation of Independent Businesses. So, retail sales year over year grew at 5.16%. Previous number was 5.25. Month over month, it grew by a tenth. Forecast was no growth, and the previous number was 1.7%. Producer price index year over year grew at 2.4%. Forecast 2.5. Previous number was a 3.4. So I've seen some drops there, which is good. Month over month, it actually contracted by 0.5%. Forecast was 0.2% growth, and previous number was flat at 0. So producer price, let's go back. Consumer prices, where were they? Year over year, up 2.3, and the producer prices is up 2.4. So that is some serious improvement. I know I crap all over the economy and the markets and, blah, blah, blah. I'm always You probably think of a negative Nelly out here, but this is some good news. We are seeing that the inflation in the CPI and the PPI is coming down. Hopefully gets down. I mean, I'd like to see it down in below 2, but the Fed's going to just put on the brakes as soon as it gets to 2%. All right, industrial production year over year up 1.49%. Previous number up 1.33%. And month over month, it was flat at 0. The forecast was 0.2% growth. The previous number was 0.3% contraction. Business inventories month over month grew by 0.1%. Forecast was 0.2%, and that was also the previous number. The National Association of Home Builders Housing Market Index came in at 34. The forecast was 40. Previous number was also 40. And basically anything above 50 shows that we are in growth. Anything or in a favorable outlook, and below 50 is a negative outlook. So not real good right now. Import price index year over year grew by 0.1%. Previous number was a 0.9. And month over month, import prices were up 0.1%. The forecast was 0.4% in the negative direction, same as the previous month. So a little off there. U.S. housing starts came in at 1.361 million. Forecast was 1.36, so 100,000 over forecast. Previous number was 1.339 million. And month over month, housing starts grew by 1.6%. Last month, they contracted by 10.1%. And building permits came in at 1.412 million. Forecast 1.45. So about 38,000 off there. Previous number 1.481 million was the previous number. And building permits month over month came in at a contraction of 4.7%. Previous number was growth of 1.9. Last but not least, the Michigan consumer sentiment came in at 50.8. Forecast was 53.1. Previous number was 52.2. So looking at the chart, it peaked, well, in the last year or so, it peaked at around in January of this year and had not been that high since May of last year at this time. So pretty much, we've since January been on the downtrend here on the consumer sentiment. So, all right, well, that is everything there. Let's get over to our market recap. Get my notes up here. All right, the S&P 500 closed higher on Friday, wrapping up a strong week for equities fueled by optimism over a temporary U.S.-China trade truce and resilience in tech stocks. Despite a surprise drop in consumer sentiment, the major indexes posted notable gains. The S&P 500 was up 4.5%, the Dow added 2.6%, and NASDAQ surged more than 6% for the week. The University of Michigan's preliminary consumer sentiment reading for May fell to 50.8, below expectations and down from April's 52.2. Inflation expectations also spiked, with the 1-year view jumping to 7.3% and the 5 to 10 year rising to 4.6. Economists caution that despite easing tariffs, inflationary pressures could rise again as early as May, potentially limiting the Fed's ability to cut rates more aggressively. Still, recent trade progress has boosted growth outlooks. Barclays now predicts the U.S. will avoid a recession, revising the 2025 GDP expectations up to 0.5% from the previous forecast of 0.3% contraction. Retail sales and producer prices data released Thursday were soft, reinforcing expectations for at least 2 Fed rate cuts later this year. In corporate news, Applied Materials fell after missing sales expectations on its key semiconductor systems unit. Vista Energy climbed after announcing a $1.9 billion acquisition of natural gas assets aimed at powering AI data centers. Take-Two Interactive dropped on weak guidance due to a delay in Grand Theft Auto 6. Charter Communications rose on news of a $34.5 billion merger with Cox Communications. And Constellation Brands rallied after Berkshire Hathaway disclosed it had doubled its stake in the beer company. Despite macroeconomic headwinds, strong corporate actions and the easing of trade tensions helped keep investors' sentiment buoyant. Markets now look to upcoming Fed signals and further trade developments for direction. All right, so that's that. Let's get over to our data report here, as I can hear my pups next door fighting. This is the April housing starts from First Trust. Mr. Nate Gursey put this report together. U.S. housing starts rebounded slightly in April following a sharp March decline, but the underlying data painted a weak picture for the housing sector. Overall, home building activity remained sluggish, stuck near 2019 levels, as builders grapple with elevated home prices, high mortgage rates, and the largest single-family inventory since 2009. Added uncertainty from new tariffs is compounding cost concerns. Single-family home starts fell 2.1% in April to a 9-month low, and building permits dropped 5.1% to their lowest level in nearly 2 years. The modest monthly gain in total starts came solely from a 10.7% surge in the volatile multifamily sector. Over the past year, multifamily starts are up 30.7%, while single-family starts are down 12%. House completions fell 5.9% in April, but remain strong overall, consistently outpacing starts. The April completion rate of 1.458 million units marks the only month below the 1.5 million pace needed to meet long-term demand over the past year. Still, the number of homes under construction has dropped 14.3% year over year, typically a sign of a housing bust. However, analysts don't see a bubble forming, noting the U.S. has chronically underbuilt since 2007. They expect moderate price gains in 2025. Builder sentiment also weakened in May, with the National Association of Home Builders Housing Index falling to 34 from 40, indicating growing pessimism. It's kind of a mixed bag in the housing market. Granted, if we were to rid our country of I'd guess probably about 80 to 90 million illegal aliens that live here, if you were to toss them all out, that'd probably free up a lot of housing. Granted, I imagine they're not living in the best neighborhoods, but it would take some strain off the system. All right. Last up, got his article from Zero Hedge. We're going to be fair. Trump will set tariff rates for other nations in weeks. So let's see what that has to say here. All right. President Trump concluded a historic diplomatic and economic tour of the Middle East by departing Abu Dhabi aboard Air Force One, capping off a week in which his administration signed over $1 trillion in deals aligned with his America First agenda. These agreements span defense, trade, and energy sectors, with the aim of boosting U.S. exports and reasserting American influence in global trade. Before departing, Trump addressed business leaders in Abu Dhabi, announcing that the U.S. will soon unilaterally determine tariff rates for many trading partners within the next 2 to 3 weeks, he said. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick would begin issuing letters to various countries detailing what they will be required to pay to access the U.S. market. While Trump did not specify which nations would receive these letters, he emphasized that over 150 countries are eager to strike trade deals. Talks remain ongoing with major economies like Japan, South Korea, India, and the European Union, and China. However, the administration is reportedly abandoning trade negotiations in favor of settling trade terms unilaterally due to capacity constraints. The announcement comes on the heels of 2 major trade breakthroughs. A U.S.-UK deal promises to lower barriers and increase transatlantic commerce, while a new agreement with China reduces reciprocal tariffs for 90 days. U.S. tariffs dropped from 145 to 30%, and China's from 125 to 10. The temporary tariff truce aims to cool tensions after months of escalating trade warfare. Despite the pause, Goldman Sachs analysts expect the average effective tariff rate to rise by 13 percentage points in coming months, signaling the broader trade tensions may persist. Trump also claimed that several more deals are imminent, reiterating his administration's intent to rewrite the global trade rulebook on America's terms. All right. Well, that is everything. Let's see if he actually comes through with a good solution. I'm not holding my breath, but it is what it is. All right. Well, that's everything that I wanted to cover for today. I hope everyone out there is having a great Friday. And if you need to get in touch with me for any reason, where do you want to go? DSAFinancialGroup.com. All your financial planning needs can be addressed there. So give me a call. I'll be glad to help. All right. Well, hope everyone out there has a wonderful weekend. And I'll talk to everyone again next time. Adios.